He's the first British ESA astronaut, the second astronaut to bear a flag of the United Kingdom, the sixth person born in the United Kingdom to go on board the International Space Station, the seventh UK born person in space, and he beats over 8,000 other applicants for a place on the ESA's astronaut programme. And on top of all that, he's managed to find the time to write a book. It is a very good morning to astronaut and author Tim Peake. Tim, such a thrill to have you in the studio. A very good morning to you.
Good morning to you too. It's great to be here on the show.
Brilliant. Tell us, first of all, before we've got that many questions for you, Andy and I, tell us a little bit about the book, how it's coming about.
So the book, Space, the Human Story, is something I wanted to write because 4 of my friends right now are in training to go to the moon, which is really exciting. Artemis 2 mission could launch as early as November next year. And I kind of thought, well, I want to write a book that brings us from what happened right back in the early days, you know, Gagarin and Armstrong, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo era, all the way up to my 4 friends training to go to the moon. And so this book is about the human story of that space exploration, everything we've done.
Incredible. She taking it all the way back, Tim. Do you think, I mean, they speak about the space race and all that, and you mentioned Gagarin, people like that, obviously. Was there real competition between the former Soviet Union and the USA to get a man on the moon?
It was incredibly intense. It was the most important competition of that decade, of that era. It was the technical prowess, but also it was part of the arms race. You know, launching rockets was what was going to, you know, lead to the era of the Cold War, and of course that nuclear standoff that we had. So it was technology, but it was also that kind of, you know, putting the stamp on which nation was the strongest.
Yeah, where was home for you, Tim? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Chichester, West Sussex.
So how does a young boy growing up in Chichester, West Sussex, mainly you'd have thought you might have moved into something to do with the sea or a marine activity. How did you end up becoming an astronaut?
I sometimes ask myself the same question. I was passionate about flying. You know, I loved flying, and Dad took me to air shows when I was younger, and I was very lucky. I got into the cadets. I got to go flying in gliders when I was 13, and then passed all the medicals, became an army pilot. So 18 years as an army pilot, and became a test pilot for the last few years of my career. And as a test pilot, that's when you start kind of looking to the space industry, and lots of our technology comes from the space industry, and aviation space very close. And so that's how I kind of got into the European Space Agency through that route.
Tell me, the one question I want to ask people like yourself, a lot of you read, you know, some of the former astronauts, one of the things that they seem to all talk about is when you're up there and you actually look back and see the planet. What's it like?
It's a very special view and a very special feeling as well, because on the one hand, you know, you're going at 17,500 miles per hour, so it sounds like it's crazy, but it's actually really tranquil and serene because you don't feel that speed. And the blackness of space is a black that you'll never see anywhere. We don't really see the true colour black here on Earth ever because there's so much light around. But in space, it's the blackest black. And you look down and there's this beautiful planet beneath you in this blackness, and it's just overwhelming.
And is it literally glowing away, Tim, like we see those images?
It is, yeah.
It must have an effect on you, that. It
Yeah.
has to have an effect.
Yeah, it completely changes your perspective, and you kind of realise our place in the solar system. Like, that's where I'm from. You know, that's home. That's Earth. And then in the daytime, the planet just stands out with all of the you know, the oceans, the weather, the colours, the geology. But then by nighttime, you see the thunderstorms, the aurora, the cities and lights. So it's by day and by night a completely different planet as well.
What's next, Tim, in terms of space exploration? Am I right in saying, was it the Indians that sent somebody up recently?
Yeah, they've sent a rover to the south pole of the moon, so that's gathering data right now. That's really the destination where we're all heading for, because the previous Apollo landings were all kind of in the equatorial region. That's the easiest place to get to on the moon if you're going to launch from somewhere like Cape Canaveral, where they did. We want to go to the south pole now of the moon because there's lots of water ice there. So we're going to set up a research laboratory. That's the long-term goal, is to have astronauts going to spend extended periods of time now on the moon, not just for a 3 or 4 day stay.
When they fly to the moon, Tim, and collect whatever it is, rocks and various other data, what is it actually that we're trying to achieve by that? What is that sort of stuff telling us?
Well, it tells us a lot about our own history, because the moon was once part of the Earth. And whereas the Earth's got an atmosphere that protects us and shields us, so our planet's very dynamic, it changes all the time, and it erases our own history. So we only see the latest, geological evidence in front of us. But on the moon, nothing has changed for 4.5 billion years. It's got no atmosphere. There's no wind. There's no rain. There is no tectonic plate movements. No active volcanoes. So you go there, and it's like, well, this is what the Earth was like, and it can kind of tell us a lot about our own planet, about how the solar system formed, and also in terms of that exploration, if it's got things like water on the surface locked up in ice, then we can use that as a stepping stone to perhaps go further onto Mars, for example.
Wow.
Tim, I'm getting around here because we've got to go to break, but I want to ask you one more question. I mean, you spoke about the beauty of looking back and seeing the Earth, and there's so many pluses, but see, when you're up there, can you define for us what the biggest dangers are?
The biggest danger is actually being hit by a piece of space debris and the whole space station depressurizing very rapidly. If you got hit by something just 2 centimeters across, which sounds fairly small, that would be catastrophic for the space station, because everything's traveling at 10 times the speed of a bullet, and the space station's a pressurized can, if you like, and if you fire a bullet at a pressurized can, it's going to go bang.
Well, I've got to say,
fantastic.
I know, and I wish you could be here for another half hour, an hour, but I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a thrill. And I'm going to ask you to sign that book for me. I don't even give me. I'm stealing it anyway. I'm hopefully going to ask you to sign a book. Tim, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And I hope your day
Great
goes well. We're going to
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.